Good afternoon, all of you. We will continue
Good
with
afternoon, ma'am.
yes, good afternoon. We will continue with the literature chapter, The Bond of Love, Beehive, chapter number 9.
Ma'am,
Who,
please just 2 minutes, ma'am. 2 minutes, ma'am. Only 2 minutes, ma'am.
what happened?
Nothing, ma'am. Nothing, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So basically, in this chapter, we are having a look at the question that can there be love and friendship between human beings and animals. And in this particular chapter, we have a very fascinating account of an orphaned sloth bear that was rescued by the author. So, an orphaned sloth bear, and so you know we did the little bit of a story, the background that Bruno, who was the author's wife's pet sloth bear, and they got him by an accident, and they were out there in the fields. Which fields? Which fields? The author and his companions were passing were in which?
Courtyard.
Sugarcane fields. Okay, and near Mysore, and so they were driving the wild pigs from the fields, and so they were shooting at them. So some escaped, and obviously some were killed, and then all of a sudden they have this huge black sloth bear who was there in the on the field, and so the author says obviously he would have never shot a bear without any reason, but unfortunately for the beast, what happened? One of his companions, he did not think like that, and he shot the animal. And so when the animal it fell down, so they saw that they were surprised that some black fur which was on the back of the animal's body, it moved back, and it left the body. And then they saw that it was a small baby bear that had been riding on its mother's back, and the shot had killed the mother. And so the bear, it moved away from the body, and then the little baby bear, it ran around its fallen parent, and obviously it was crying, making pitiful noise. And so later on, what happens? The author, he grabs it by the scruff of its neck, means by the back of its neck, and then they put it in a gunny bag, and then they bring it. And when he's back, so they are back to what place? When they are back to what place?
Bangalore.
Bangalore. So he presented it to his wife, and the wife, was she angry?
No.
Ma'am.
No, ma'am.
She was delighted, and so she at once put a colored ribbon around its neck. And after she found out that the cub was a boy, so she christened him Bruno. Okay, and so we did that. First he began to drink milk from the bottle, and in a matter of few days he was eating and drinking everything, and that means includes everything. All right, and even he was drinking everything. Then uh, the seventh paragraph that we did, the last one that we did yesterday, was that the bear, it also became very attached to their two Alsatian dogs, and also to all the children of the tenants who were living in their bungalow. And means while the bear was young, so he was left free to roam around and play around. So he used to play and play with the children of the tenants, and then he used to run to the kitchen, and even sleep in their beds. Okay, so till there we have already done. Let's continue. Paragraph number 8. Who will read?
Ma'am, may I?
Yes, Rishti.
One day an accident befell him. I put down poison barium carbonate to kill the rats and mice that had got into my library. Bruno entered the library as he often did, and he ate some of the poison. Paralysis set into the extent that he could not stand on his feet, but he dragged himself on his stumps to my wife, who called me. I guessed what had happened. Off I rushed in the car to the vet's residence. A case of poisoning, tame bear, barium carbonate. What to do?
All right. So one day what happened? An accident happened, and the author, he has put some poison, barium carbonate to be precise, to kill the rats and mice which had come into his library. And now Bruno, he also entered the library. As you know, he was in the practice, he often entered the library, so that day also he did. And then he ate some of the poison. And as soon, after eating the poison, paralysis set in, and to that extent that now he was not even able to stand on his feet. But still somehow he dragged himself on his stumps. Obviously is used here for his legs. So though obviously he was not able to stand up, but still somehow he dragged himself to his wife. And the wife, when she saw Bruno like this, so she called him. And the author, he guessed that what would have happened. And so he took the bear in the car, and they rushed to the vet's residence and told that it is a case of poisoning. Tame bear means a pet bear, and barium carbonate. And the question was now what to do. Okay, yes. Who will read?
Can I?
Yes.
Out came his medical books, and a feverish reference to the index began. What poison did you say, sir? Barium carbonate? Ah, yes. Barium salts. Ah, barium carbonate. Symptoms: paralysis, treatment, injections of. Just a minute, sir. I'll bring my syringe and the medicine. A dash back to the car. Bruno, still floundering about on his stumps, but clearly weakening rapidly. Some vomiting, heavy breathing, with heaving flanks and gaping mouth.
All right. So as soon as they got to the vet's residence, so the author, he went to him and said and told him that okay, this has happened. So he brought out his medical books. And then obviously feverish means very fast reference to the index. He just flipping pages very fast to the index. And then okay, what did you say? Barium carbonate? Yes, barium. And then that is how you find out. And then so he got a look at the symptoms, paralysis, treatment, injections of. And then he waited, okay, just a minute, sir. So he said okay, I'll bring my syringe and the medicine. And then Bruno, he was still in the car, so dashed back to the car. And Bruno, still floundering, means he was still struggling to move, not able to move properly about on his legs. And now he was weakening rapidly. The poison was doing its work, and so now he was weakening. And he vomited some. Breath was heavy, so heavy breathing with heaving flanks. Now flank is the area between our ribs and hips. So that that stomach area, what you call as heaving. And heaving means moving up and down. So his stomach area, it was moving up and down. So basically what we want to say, very heavy breathing. And gaping mouth means open mouth. That was the condition when they came to him. Yes. Who will read now?
May I?
Yes.
Hold him, everybody. In goes the hypodermic. Bruno squeals. 10 cc of the antidote enters his system without a drop being wasted. 10 minutes later, condition unchanged. Another 10 cc injected. 10 minutes later, breathing less stertorous. Bruno can move his arms and legs a little, although he cannot stand yet. 30 minutes later, Bruno gets up and has a great feed. He looks at us disdainfully, as much as to say, "What's barium carbonate to a big black bear like me?" Bruno is still eating.
All right. And so, the doctor, the vet, he is ready with the injection and with the syringe and the medicine in it. And so he says, everybody hold him. And in goes the hypodermic. What is the hypodermic? See there? A long needle which is used to give an injection under the skin. So he asks everyone to hold him. And obviously, when the needle, it pierces its skin, so Bruno, he squeals. So 10 cc of the antidote, it enters Bruno's system. Not a drop was wasted. But 10 minutes later, his condition was still unchanged. So another 10 cc was injected. And 10 minutes later, his breathing was less stertorous, means now it was not so noisy. Breathing was little less noisy. And now Bruno can move his arms and legs a little, but still he cannot stand up yet. And but 30 minutes later, Bruno, he gets up and has a great feed. So again he eats a lot. And then he looks at them as if disdainfully, means as if like, means what will this do means when you look at something like see means it is nothing. What will barium carbonate do to a big black bear like me? And so see, Bruno is still eating. So with that look, he looked at the author and his wife. Yes, continue. Who will read?
Another time he found nearly 1 gallon of old engine oil, which I had drained from the sump of the stewed baker and was keeping as a weapon against the inroads of termites. He promptly drank the lot, but it had no ill effects whatever.
All right. So one or another time, what happened? He found 1 gallon of old engine oil, and this engine oil, the author, he had taken out from the sump. Sump means base of combustion engine, and from there, the oil that gathers. So from that he had taken out the this old engine oil from the sump of the Studebaker. It is an old American car, so he has taken out the oil from there, and it was 1 gallon old engine oil, and the author, he was keeping it to use it as a weapon for against termites. But Bruno, he drank the whole thing, 1 gallon of old engine oil, but still it had no ill effects on him. Okay, yes, continue.
The months rolled on, and Bruno had grown many times the size he was when he came. He had equaled the Alsatians in height and had even outgrown them, but was just as sweet, just as mischievous, just as playful, and he was very fond of us all. Above all, he loved my wife, and she loved him too. She had changed his name from Bruno to Baba, a Hindustani word signifying small boy, and he could do a few tricks too. At the command Baba wrestle or Baba box, he vigorously tackled anyone who came forward for a rough and tumble. Give him a stick and say Baba, hold gun. And he pointed the stick at you. Ask him, Baba, where's baby? And he immediately produced and cradled affectionately a stump of wood which he had carefully concealed in his straw bed. But because of the tenant's children, poor Bruno or Baba had to be kept chained most of the time.
All right. Okay. So time went on, and months rolled on, and now Bruno, he had grown. Means when he came, he was very small. All right. But now he had grown many times of the size when he had come, and now he was equal in height to the Alsatians, and he had even become, he had even outgrown them, means become taller than the Alsatians. Like I told you, Alsatian is a dog breed, and very similar to like German shepherds, and so they are tall dogs, you must have seen. And so by this time, Bruno, he had outgrown the Alsatians, but so though he had become very huge and big, but still he was just as sweet and still so mischievous and playful. And on top of that, he was very fond of the author and his family, author, his wife, and his family. And above all, he loved my wife, means Bruno, he loved author's wife, and she also loved him a lot. And so what she did, she changed his name from Bruno to Baba, like we call small boys Baba. And so it is a Hindustani word which means small boy. And so now he could also do a few tricks. So if you give him the command Baba wrestle or Baba box, so what he did, he vigorously tackled anyone, means uh, vigorous means energetically, full strength and all. He would tackle anyone who came forward for a fight, and obviously he would tumble him down. Then if you give him a stick and say Baba hold gun, so what will he do? He will point the gun at you. And then if you asked him that Baba where's the baby, so he immediately brought out and cradle a small piece of wood, a small stump of wood, and this he had hidden, concealed in his straw bed. So he had hidden that stick, that piece of wood in his straw bed. And if you say hold baby, so he will take that out and hold it affectionately in his arms. But because now he has become so big, and because of the tenant's children, Now he had grown big, so obviously people were afraid of him. So now poor Bruno or Baba, now he had to be kept chained all the time. When he was brought at that time, he was very small, and he was very attached to the children of the tenants and all. So he was left free at that time. He was too small, but now he had grown big, and so people were also scared of him. So now he had to be chained all the time. Yes, who will read now? Srishti, you want to continue?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, beta. 13.
Yes, ma'am. Then my son and I advised my wife and friends advised her too to give Baba to zoo at Mysore. He was getting too big to keep at home. After some weeks of such advice, she at last consented hastily, and before she could change her mind, a letter was written to the curator of the zoo. Did he want a tame bear for his collection? He replied yes. The zoo sent a cage from Mysore in a lorry, a distance of 87 miles, and Baba was packed off.
All right. So, and now, he had to be kept chained most of the time. And so, the author's son and the author, both of them advised the woman, the lady means the author's wife, and even friends advised her too, now that to give Baba to the zoo at Mysore. And why? Because he was getting too big to be kept at home. And so after weeks of giving us such advice and talking and trying to see her the point, finally at last she consented. And so hastily means very quickly, now before she could change her mind, so a letter was written to the curator of the zoo, means a person who was in charge of the zoo. And so they asked him that would they like to have a tame bear, means a pet bear, for their collection. So his reply was yes. And the zoo, they sent a cage from Mysore in a lorry, means in a truck. And so a distance of 87 miles, so from far away distance, this lorry was sent with a cage, and Baba was packed off, means he was sent off to the zoo. Yes, Wahib, you read.
We all missed him greatly, but in a sense we were relieved. My wife was inconsolable. She wept and fretted. For the first few days she would not eat a thing. Then she wrote a number of letters to the curator. How was Baba? Back came the replies. Well, but fretting. He refuses food too.
All right. So though all the people, they missed him, the author, his son, and everyone missed him greatly, but at least still there was a sense of relief that he was at a good place now. But his wife, she was inconsolable, means she was so sad and upset, not to be consoled at anything. And she wept and fretted, means she wept and worried a lot about Bruno. And so for the first few days she did not eat anything, she refused anything. And then she wrote a number of letters to the curator asking questions that how was Baba. And so the replies that came back were that well, he is well, but fretting, that he is also worried a lot, and he also is not eating or refusing to have any food. Okay, so for today we will stop here. That is all the time we have for today. Have you all understood what we have done today?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
जी
enjoying
मैम
the
साहब.
story?
जी मैम साहब.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.